Greetings! This is Grasscat, and welcome to another tutorial in Once Human. This time we're taking a look at the Forsaken Giant. Now, I'm gonna go a little bit more in depth on the gear than I usually do for these, because this time gear matters a little bit. And that's because the Forsaken Giant was never intended to be a solo fight. Now, it's easier than what it was at launch, but this guy was actually kind of hard to deal with at launch if you were trying to take it on solo. You had to really know what you were doing, and you had to have a fairly decent build going in. That's not really quite the case anymore, but you still have to be somewhat on top of your build if you want to succeed. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I've got. Now, before I get into that, actually, if you need or want to skip the gear section of this and just go straight into the how to do the fight, there should be some chapter marks down in the description that you can use to skip around. But otherwise, yeah, let's get right into this and start talking about gear. Now, as far as weapon goes, it's kind of a mandate that you will have a tier 5 weapon. Preferably 2 tier 5 weapons, one for long range accuracy, and then one whatever the heck you want to use. There's a lot of long range precise shots that you have to do in the Forsaken Giant fight, so having something like either the critical pulse or a sniper rifle is very useful to have. I've got both because I just happen to like the sniper rifle and the critical pulse. But you will want to have a tier 5 weapon. Ideally, a tier 5 weapon that has been crafted with a good calibration blueprint. These were not crafted with calibration blueprints. They're fairly baseline weapons, other than being max tier from upgrades, or at least almost max tier in the case of the Pathfinder. But you will want the tier 5s. Yes, you can do it with a tier 4, but now you're dragging out the fight to the point where it's going to cost you a lot more resources to win, and it's probably not really going to be worth it to go through the fight. Melee weapon really doesn't matter. There will be some waves of Gnawers that spawn and some waves of Starwalkers that spawn, but nothing that's going to really benefit using melee weapons on. Now, it is worth noting, you can technically win the Forsaken Giant fight only using melee weapons, including a frozen fish. I know, I've done it. Please don't duplicate this mistake. It took me an hour and a half. Moving on from that horrifying memory, let's take a look at the armor set. Slight deviation from my usual. I still have 3 pieces of raid gear and 2 pieces of agent gear. So that I have that weak spot damage bonus, and I've got the load damage bonus. But this time I'm going in with a unique piece. Again, by this point in the game, you should have more than enough Star Crom to honestly have a full set of legendary grade gear, the golden grade gear, in addition to whatever unique you want. You will want to have a unique that gives some sort of a benefit to the weapons that you want to use. So in this particular case, I'm going with the Frost Vortex Collapse to group things together for the Pathfinder. Other than that, the core thing that you absolutely must do is make sure that all of your gear is crafted with crocodile or bear skin at a minimum, which all of these are. Now, tier 4 or tier 5, preferably tier 5. The only 2 tier 5s I have, however, are the Covert Walker shirt and the Agent pants. The RNG gods just hate me, apparently, and in my preparation for this video, when I've ran through a couple of the level 50 settlements, I just haven't gotten the stuff necessary to craft a full set of tier 5. So, and also I want to prove the point that you don't have to have the tier 5. It certainly makes things more survivable, especially if you can get the tier 5 chest piece. That will definitely make things more survivable for you, but it's not mandatory. You can still get through it with just a couple pieces of tier 5 and the rest still being tier 4. You will also want to make sure that you have mods on every single piece of gear. which again is a deviation from how I've done most of my videos. Without question at this point, you should have mods for every single gear slot. You should have this by this point. I am restricting myself to prove that you don't need to grind for the mods, and that I did not equip any mod higher than the rare blue tier here. So I did the best to keep to a build theme. Everything is aimed towards boosting elemental damage as best I could. But in the case of my Pathfinder, the only elemental mod that I had for sniper rifles that was blue or lower was a blaze one. And I figured, well, why not put it on? Like, is this core effect going to have any effect at all? No, it's not, because nothing I have does burn. But I will still get these little bonuses here. And 2.4% is 2.4%. I'll take it. Every little bit helps. And so that is the gear setup. Tier 5 weapons. Preferably at least one accurate long-range weapon, plus one whatever you want. As much Tier 5 gear as you can get, with a minimum of crocodile or bear skin. Now, one thing to keep in mind when doing your gear is to use the marketplace. Now, this is going to be server dependent. If I hit escape, go to the Get United online trading, and I go into materials. I could probably also buy the materials needed for crafting my armor here as well. But I can come into here and I can buy the gold tier hides for crafting the best possible armor that I can. Now this can get expensive fast. You know, the rabbit fur is 25,000. And if I keep scrolling through here, got some lunar hide, deer hide for 11,000. Wolf skin for 30,000. It's like, oh boy, I'll pass on that. Don't be deceived by the 5,000. There's only one of that, then it jumps straight up to 14,000 basically. But don't be afraid of using the marketplace. It's part of the game. This isn't cheating. It's just using the game. It's using the marketplace. One round of selling stuff to the traders and draining all the 5 traders of their energy link reserve will get you more than enough energy links to be able to come on here and buy a full set of hides to craft your gear. So that is an option if you don't feel like trying to grind out the top tier hides yourself, which is, again, absolutely valid. Your deviant. To no one's shock, if you've watched any of my past videos, I'm going to recommend the Festering Gel. And it's not just because you're guaranteed to have one. There is one specific attack that the Forsaken Giant has that can be a little bit difficult to deal with if you do not have the proper consumables. In my opinion, it is just much easier to have the Festering Gel, both for some emergency backup healing and to shield yourself from this one specific attack, rather than trying to deal with jumping over it. And I'll point that attack out once we get to it. So, Festering Gel is my recommendation. And then one last thing that I want to point out as far as ammo goes, you will want to have the highest tier ammo that you can craft. So in the case of the SKS, I'm going to be going in with AP sniper rifle ammo. And in the case of the crossbow, going in with armor-piercing arrows. Can you do it with steel ammo? Absolutely. Spend the resources on getting the tungsten grade ammo, the AP ammo. It will help speed up the fight. Final thing on the gear is make sure that you have whatever this is called. It's like, seriously, devs, please stop changing the name. As of May 2026, they're called healing syringes. If you are watching this in the future, it might be called something else. They seem to really enjoy changing the name on these things. Whatever they're called, make sure you have a nice little stack of these. 10's probably good. Never hurts to be over-prepared. But you will definitely want to have some healing going in because you are going to take some damage. And one of the worst feelings you can ever get is to get killed, use up all of your revives when you're almost done with the fight. So we don't want to do that. Bring some healing. And I know I said that was the last thing on the gear, but I just remembered there is one last point that I wanted to bring up. Don't be afraid of using the online trading to get either some crumbly bread for, in this particular case, 34% flat bonus damage to all weapon damage. Or in the case of this fight, getting some assorted canned fruit, which increases weak spot damage, because you're going to be doing a lot of weak spot damage. Either way, I would recommend picking up some crumbly bread or assorted canned fruit, or if you feel like going through the farming process, farming up the resources to make one of these two. And now I'm really honestly done with talking about gear, so let's talk about how do we get to the monolith. So Forsaken Monolith is over here in Red Sands on the western edge, and there's two possible teleport points. The one that you want is the Forsaken Monolith World Stone that is right on top of the monolith icon, because that's going to basically put you right next to the entrance of the monolith. That is enough talk. Let's actually get to the monolith fight itself. So when you teleport in to this World Stone, the entrance to the monolith is just going to be right over this way. Now there's a lot of Rosetta people hanging around here. Generally speaking, you should be fine for just ignoring everybody and just running straight for the monolith entrance. And I'm actually very surprised I didn't get shot at just then. Now there will be a couple of guys in here that you will have to deal with. And then I'll remember that, oh yeah, that's right, my knife is broken. But you don't have to really deal with this guy. Again, you can just run straight past him and straight into the loading zone over here. We're going to do this on normal so you can see what the fight is like. As always, I recommend that you watch the cutscenes, but we're going to skip straight past it. Now, the Forsaken Giant is not going to start fighting you until you shoot him. Make sure you step past this little mark right here. Otherwise, you'll have to deal with some, like, teleport shenanigans. And it just... we don't want to give the game any excuse to bug out. So now that I've stepped past that, I'm going to go ahead and switch to the SKS. Give him a little up tap. And there we go. That's his first attack. He'll slam down. Now, you see that little glowy thing there? That is really the only spot that we can hit him. Now, when he does that rear up, that is the attack that is difficult to dodge. Now, if you have high jump or double jump, it's not too difficult to dodge that one. But otherwise, just activate the shield right before you get hit, and you'll be fine. Next up will be that cry attack, which again will have some additional opportunities for damage. And that will also spawn some gnawers down here. And you will get more gnawers as time goes on. Now, when he does that stomach hold thing, if you're fast enough, you can throw one of those buds to open up a crack and get some shots in. Now, it is worth noting that the weak spots only last for so many hits before they go away. So once you see the big damage numbers disappearing, there's no longer any need to keep shooting. Here we go. Here's another one. Activate my shield. And I don't take any damage. Now, once you get past the first 2 bars, some Star Walkers will spawn in, 4 of them specifically. So make sure you are dealing with those guys as swiftly as possible so you don't get attacked by them. He'll do another cry session. He'll hold his stomach. You can get his hands out of the way, shoot the weak spot. Some more Gnawers will spawn in. And he is going to be doing his next phase here pretty soon. There we go. When that light appears, you want to run to one of the edges, doesn't really matter which one, and wait until that light goes away and he spawns in and raises up and run to the side. That is going to damage the floor. If he hits the same floor 3 times, it will be destroyed. Which I am going to purposely do just so you can see what that looks like. There he goes. He teleports in. I'm going to run off to the side. And I didn't jump in time, so I took a hit there. Again, there's these sections. You can see how they're defined by this line. I am going to deliberately destroy this, but if you spread this out across all the sections, no sections will be destroyed. And if you fall off this edge here, that's it. Fight over. Oops, misjudged on that one. I don't know why I just did that. Well, now that I've done my shield, I'm going to take a hit here. You can jump over that, but it's not going to work unless you've got double jump or high jump. I don't necessarily like doing the jumps. Okay, now this attack, he'll charge it up while throwing globs at you. And then once it launches, you'll want to run away from it so that way you don't get caught in the blast radius. Again, he'll summon in those Star Walkers. Grab that. Alright, now he's going to do it again. Now this time I have to be careful. I'm going to take 2 hits on this ledge. I'm going to wait until he summons in like that. So I'm going to do 2 hits on this ledge. Taking some opportunities to get some damage in there. Wait for him to charge up. Now, after he does this round of hits... There we go. And the key is you want to wait until he teleports back in. That's when the section is locked in. So again, I'm going to wait. He teleports back in. My section is locked. I can now get out of the way of the hit. Get some damage shots in there. Now you gotta watch out for his grab attack, because that can get you killed very easily. So he's gonna charge up, throw a bunch of those things at me, which can do a lot of damage, as you just saw. He's gonna throw that. There we go. When he does that, run forward. As close as you can, because he's going to try and grab you. He cannot grab you if you're close. But if he grabs you, he can spike you off the edge. Activate shield, so I don't take any damage from that. And now this pattern is just going to repeat. He's going to... spawn in these little puddles, which I have to run around and avoid. Always keeping an eye on him in case he's going to do his grab attack. which he is not. And again, I can shoot him right now, but it doesn't really do me much good. He's going to do the slam, jump over the shockwave, get that weak point. I'm going to let this cycle go so you can just see the cycle one more time. He's going to send that barrage at me. He is going to throw the big globe at me. Next attack should be the grab. Yep, he has leaned forward. That is the grab pre-animation. I'm going to run all the way forward. Let him do the pickup. And again, from here, that exact pattern is just going to keep repeating. Why? And I have no idea why I switched to the knife there. I still got him. And that is the fight. Not too bad once you get used to it. Now let's take a look at the hard mode fight and see how that changes. So the main thing that you can see that immediately has updated itself is he hits like a freaking truck in this version. And he also has a lot more hit points. Editing Cat here. I'm not really geared for taking on hard mode, so all the sections where I'm just shooting the boss and nothing much else is happening is going to be cut out. So expect a few jumps here and there. Other than that, the patterns are pretty much the same. He's going to do his slam attack. Of course, he's going to summon in some arbiters because this is hard mode, so of course there's arbiters. This time I am not going to destroy portions of the floor. Apparently I didn't wait quite long enough for his arm to regenerate. You really need to pay attention to your health on this mode. Oh yeah, when you die, he will not continue to attack you. It'll sort of like interrupt and pause the fight. Make sure he teleports in and he's raising up. Dodge that attack. I now have that. Again, hard mode, he'll bring in other bosses. Do not lose sight of the attacks, because otherwise that happens. And Arbiters is why I have the Frost Vortex. Okay, so I'm going to take a hit to the center. Center and left can take hits. So I'm going to take the next hit to center. I might be going down if I don't time this perfectly. And I timed it. Somehow. And I will sacrifice the left because there is absolutely no way I'm sacrificing the center. That would be a death sentence. I was out of count on that, apparently. Also, make sure you bring enough ammo. There we go. I finally got all the ads cleaned up. That will make life a lot more safe. Again, I'm at the point now where I've got to pay attention to that grab, because if that grab gets me, I am so very dead. Watch out. I don't want to get hit by those. Run in. And get off to the side so that doesn't hit me. Nope, that's not. That is the pool effect. Yeah, if you... And I forgot, I'm on hard mode. Well, that is the hard mode fight. You need to be very careful, and if you're going to be doing the hard mode fight, you definitely need all tier 5 equipment. If I had a full set of tier 5, probably could have taken that double hit. And, or, if you have the long jump or the double jump, it makes it much easier to avoid that slam, because again, as you can see, if you don't time that perfect on the hard mode fight, you go down. There is no question. Alright, back at base, safe and sound. Let's do a little bit of a debrief here. So on normal mode, it's not too hard of a fight. As long as you're going in prepared with tier 5 weapons, at least a couple of pieces of tier 5 gear, and a decent amount of ammo and healing items, you should be fine. The Deviant, the Gel Deviant with its shield, helps protect you against the arm sweep, and most of the other attacks are fairly easy enough to time and jump over. And even if you do screw up, the damage output isn't so high that it's going to kill you. Hard mode, as we saw, is quite another matter entirely. You are going to be getting quite a few adds. You're going to be facing 2 arbiters, which can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. That's why I like using the Frost Vortex, because it locks them down. Key thing on the hard mode, you will really want to consider bringing either the Stardust Energy Drink for the double jump, or the Frog's high jump, or maybe even both. And keep in mind, if you do combine the high jump with the double jump, you must glide back down, because that will jump you high enough that you will take ankle and knee damage when you land. Also, make sure that you bring enough ammunition, especially if you don't have just a completely tweaked out build and you need to fire a lot of shots. One of the things that got me killed, besides not having a full set of tier 5 gear and not having enough health, was the fact that I basically ran out of ammo. I ran out of my AP ammo and had to switch to steel, and that slowed me down in the fight, giving the giant more opportunities to damage me, and I lost. If I'd had more damage output, I would have won that fight. So make sure you check your ammo levels and that you have enough AP ammo going into the fight. Otherwise, hard mode really isn't too much to deal with as long as you are prepared and you're not trying to talk at the same time. And keep in mind, I almost made it with substandard gear and running out of AP ammo. So hard mode Forsaken Giant is very achievable. And with that, I'm going to wrap things up. If you found this video entertaining and or useful, a thumbs up would be appreciated. And if you didn't really learn anything, well, the thumbs down button is right next to it. Until next time.